Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique, and I appreciate you joining me here each lunation cycle where we talk about what is going on in the heavens above that affect us here down on earth. If you're new to my channel, I usually pull some tarot cards and tap into what the astrology is during this lunation cycle, but also what affects us into the future. So since this is a full moon lunar eclipse happening at 8 degrees and 37 minutes of Gemini on November 30th, 2020 at 4:29 Eastern Time, this is really going to be an interesting eclipse cycle because we are now entering into a new ecliptic cycle. If you remember back in June, we actually had an eclipse axis that was sparked that was a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius on June 5th, 2020. So we are now fully out of that Cancerian and Capricorn axis that we were in during the summer. So that June 5th full moon lunar eclipse in Sag, that really sparked like a new eclipse cycle for us. So now we are here at this full moon lunar eclipse in Gemini. So the sun is sitting up here in Sagittarius, the moon is down here in Gemini. So this is going to bring up themes regarding learning and growth in intellectual and duality themes, which Gemini represents, as well as how Sagittarius Sun is illuminating this moon in Gemini. So Sagittarius is centered around travel, exploration, new experiences, while Gemini is more of an air sign, which is around communication, networking, and expanding new ways to meet and socialize. So I think that we definitely all are seeing in our everyday world, whether it's dealing with people in a social setting, or we're dealing with like the government and we're seeing, how the political climate has changed. I really think that over these next, I would say 6 months, because that's usually how long the energies of eclipses last, you will start seeing more themes around like this Gemini, Sagittarius themes up in your life. But I think it's also interesting because the last time we had Gemini and Sag eclipses was back in 2012, but that is when the Gemini was on the south node and now it's on the north node. So the north node has to do with more around energies that are, what are you looking forward to? How are you looking into the future? What goals are you setting for the future? While Sagittarius now is in the south node. So these are going to be things that you are possibly like leaving behind. And we will get into more of that Sagittarian energy when we get to the new moon solar eclipse that happens, I believe, on December 14th. So today we're going to focus more on the full moon, though, lunar eclipse. And remember, a full moon has to do with things coming out, endings, illuminating areas of your life that you may not have been realizing until a full moon, and especially with a full moon in Gemini. And the tarot card that relates to Gemini are the twins, or the lovers. And while we look at the Lovers card and we're always thinking of it more as a romantic relationship, the Lovers also signify duality. So there is this presence in this full moon in Gemini of you really figuring out what options you may have been contemplating. There may be information that has come out or will come out as the full moon lunar eclipse kind of helps you figure out where you're going with certain things dealing with communication. This can be something dealing with relationships that you have. This could be a significant other, but this could also be just platonic relationships. This could be friends. This could be colleagues. This could be, people that you hang out with. It could be new social groups that you want to get involved in. So there definitely is like this higher minded, very mental energy around this full moon in Gemini lunar eclipse. So I want you to think of, as we pull the tarot reading today, if there are any energies that are been kind of weighing on you, or information has been coming out and it's time for you to make a decision. That's the other thing with the Lovers or Gemini, is that when it's a sense of duality, you could have had options presented to you, or maybe they're gearing to come up in this lunation cycle. It could be for the next 6 months, because remember, the energies of a eclipse are usually much longer than a normal lunation cycle. So in your chart for the next 6 months, there is this theme of kind of learning and growth in intellectual and duality themes. So also I want to mention, before we get too deep into the tarot, is that we have some other aspects going on that also will be affecting us, other than just the lunar eclipse. We also have Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter are still in Capricorn, but they're coming to the very end degrees of Capricorn. So don't be surprised if you see control issues around our government, around people in your life that have control, especially with Mars is still in Aries down here. So just keep that in mind, that we're going to still see very much energies from the beginning of 2020, because remember, these 3 planets have been sitting in Capricorn throughout the year. So there's still this energy of goals, things that people have on their agenda, like a master agenda, maybe are going to be trying to play out. People may try to get what they want and not care who they have to step on to get those goals. So just keep that in mind as we do move throughout December and into January. Once we get into Aquarius season, Jupiter is going to move out of the sign of Capricorn and into Aquarius. So that will be a more positive energy, I think. It's definitely going to help us grow and expand in more mental, intellectual energy, as opposed to this Capricorn that's been like very earth energy and possessions and money and, you know, things that have to do with our physical world. So I think it's going to be interesting as we move through these next few months, especially during the winter, just to see how our government plays out with these 3 planets still in Capricorn. So don't be surprised if that energy is still hanging around. Also, we still have Mercury and we also have Venus in Scorpio. So with this energy and those 2 signs in Scorpio, it could bring up themes of your material wealth, how you feel about your self-worth, what fears and realities you could be feeling emotionally and physically, because remember, Scorpio is a water sign. So there could be emotional kind of like deep truths that come out at this full moon, while Venus is an earth sign, so it's more around your material world. It also could be about your self-worth, how you treat yourself, how you feel about yourself. And with them both in Scorpio, this could be very positive energy for those who have like positive aspects in their birth chart. But it also could bring up like fears and emotions that you maybe didn't think about before. So just keep all those in mind as we pull today's tarot reading. Okay, so there is a lot going on, so let's get into it. So if you haven't been here before, we usually pull a past, present, and future spread. And then what I do is I use some clarity or clarifier cards just to get a more, I call it a rounded kind of approach to our reading, because it's easy to kind of just like veer off in one direction with the tarot cards and just think like, okay, that card is the end all be all. But I feel like the clarifiers help us really get a more clear representation of what's going on. So I want you to, so those 2 just fell out. Isn't that interesting? So the 6 of Pentacles and the 2 of Pentacles. So it looks like something dealing with our material world. We might have some options presented to us. There might be someone actually bringing us gifts. This might be a job opportunity is coming up. You might have to make a decision about some kind of resources coming up. And I think that's interesting when I was just talking about Venus in Scorpio, because Venus does rule also our finances. And with it being in Scorpio, there might be some deep-rooted fear or truths that come out at this full moon. But I think it's interesting that those just fell out. So there might be some themes around your finances that are going to happen at this full moon lunar eclipse. So let's keep those up here, because there obviously is some information that we need to know for this eclipse season. And if you haven't looked down in the playlist on Scorpio Soul Time, I actually made a playlist that's just dealing with the eclipses. I think the eclipses are important because it's like a 6 month to 18 months worth of energy. And so if you go back through the last year and a half of Scorpio Soul Time, you'll at least be able to see where this energy has kind of played out in your life. Okay, so let's do a past, present, and future. Whew. The cards are kind of crazy today. Let's shuffle them again. They're feeling like they're not quite ready to give me a... What do we need to know? What do we need to know about this nation cycle? All right, that feels better. Isn't that interesting, that 7 of Wands? And I saw that keep kind of flipping over. So I'm actually going to flip that over and shuffle again. Anytime I get a card that kind of like flips over but then doesn't come out, I usually shuffle again. And if I was meant to actually have that card, it tends to come out again. So it's like they're not smooth like usual. So that means that there is a lot of energy trying to make its presence known. All right, so in the past, we have the 3 of Pentacles. I think that's interesting since we just had the 2 and the 6. In the present, we have the 3 of Swords. So there's something that might not be the most easiest to take on. I find it interesting that's the second 3 we got. And then in the future, we have the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so I think we can all pretty much see that this is going to be very much a time of dealing with our resources. Okay, so let's start with the past, the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. So let's flip it over and see. So I don't know if you joined me last time, but I actually got a new deck, and this deck is called the Modern Witch Tarot deck, which I really love because it's all kind of like female empowerment, but she did a really good job. It's by Lisa Sterle. She did a really good job of making the traditional Rider-Waite deck, but using women, and I think it's just a really great deck. So you'll see me use this more often, but I like this depiction of the 3 of Pentacles, where you see, you know, this woman who is like, she's modeling, but then you can see she's learning a craft, and there's kind of like this teacher explaining to her how to do it. And so this usually points to anything dealing with a job, your career, something that you've been trying to work on, trying to hone your skills and get better at. With it in reverse, I'm getting this sense of, in the past, has there been something that you just haven't been able to get quite right, or you're still working on kind of honing your craft? Are you going to classes? Are you in school? Are you Have you been going to seminars or working on something at your work where you're trying to get a promotion, or you're trying to hone not only your skills, but maybe trying to learn from a mentor or a boss or someone who's trying to help you be able to get better at what you do. And with this center or the present card of the Three of Swords, Three of Swords have to do with air energy. So like in the past, the Three of Pentacles have to do with the physical world. This more has to do with your mental state, or how you're feeling about something. With it in the upright position, there is some disappointment that could be coming your way. Oftentimes I find with the Three of Swords, even though it looks very dramatic, I often find sometimes Three of Swords has to do with healing. You may have already gone through something traumatic, or you may have been dealing with some things mentally, and now you're just trying to get right, if you will, in your head about it. So what I always tell people when they get the Three of Swords is use it more as a watch your feelings and your mind, and maybe when you feel things coming down on you that feel like they're too much to take, just remember that, you know, this is only temporary. This is not a major arcana card. You know, Three of Swords usually are, any of the minor cards in the suits are more temporary energies. So just because you may be feeling down, you may be feeling hard on yourself, or things aren't going the way you'd like to, the good thing is it's temporary, and you don't need to dwell on it, and just figure out how you can move on from it. Are there lessons that you needed to learn from it? Because now we have the Knight of Pentacles. So obviously there is something you're moving through, from something dealing maybe with your work, maybe something dealing with emotional turmoil around your work. But with this Knight of Pentacles in the future, it seems like there is some kind of opportunity coming your way that might be very beneficial. You might be having a job offer come to you, like I said, especially with this Six of Pentacles up here, where the woman is giving gifts. There is this sense of opportunities are coming. You just have to be patient, because the Knight of Pentacles, since his horse is not in motion and she's more just sitting there holding it, this might be a slower energy to get to you, but I think when it does get to you, you're going to be pleasantly surprised, or it might be even something that you've been working on slowly over time, especially with that Three of Pentacles in the past. Maybe this is something coming up from your schooling or your education or seminars, or like I said, a mentor that's been teaching you, or maybe on the side you've been trying to hone your skills for something that whether it's a degree or some type of licensure. This definitely feels like you've had some emotional turmoil around something dealing with your finances, your work, your security. Remember, I did tell you with Venus and Mercury in Scorpio, there is this sense of something dealing with how you have been viewing your finances. Maybe you're learning how to do something better with your finances, whether it's getting out of debt, or maybe it is learning how to find new work to pay off more bills at a time. There is definitely this sense of like someone is giving you some kind of help and information, but it hasn't been the easiest road, but you're now kind of like reaping the rewards of it. And I think you're going to see that in the future with this Knight of Pentacles. But there definitely is like a positive energy, even though we have that Three of Swords. To me, that Three of Swords is more signifying like you've been very hard on yourself and you've been mentally worried maybe about your finances. But I do think that there is this energy of like your resources and your material world are gonna go through a shift in this upcoming full moon lunar eclipse cycle. So this could be for like the next 6 months. And I encourage you, like I said, go back and look at when the full moon was in Gemini. 1 year ago, because that's another way. That's why I love astrology, because if you really go back and look, that's why YouTube is great, because if you go back and look at like the videos, you'll be able to like see, oh yeah, that's when you know, this person came into my life, or yeah, that's when I got that job, or that's when I was ready to leave that job, and now, you know, look where I am now. So I do encourage you to go back into the different lunation cycle videos on Scorpio soul time. It will really help. Okay, so now we're going to pull some clarifier cards and just see what the energies are around this Three of Pentacles in the past, Three of Swords in the present, and Knight of Pentacles in the future. I also think it's interesting, we got the 6, the 2, the 3, and the Knight of Pentacles. That is a lot of energy focused around your physical world, anything, and that also could have some Capricornian energy. Remember, I was saying that those 3 planets of Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn still sitting in Capricorn. So I do think that there's going to be lots of energy for all of us around like our resources, where it is that we're trying to kind of get right with where we're feeling with our careers, with our self-worth, how much money we're making, how much money we still feel like we need to make. So keep those all in mind. Sometimes I feel like when I do the cards, there's this like little voice that says, no, that wasn't enough. So if you see me do it 2 or 3 times, that's usually why. So let's see, for the 3 of Pentacles, look at that. Let's see if I can get it in the frame. So this is another deck that I use, which is actually called The Golden Wheel, and that's by Mila Lysenko. And she does a little different take on the Rider-Waite, but what you probably can't see here, and once I can get it in the frame, this is actually the 3 of Wheels, which is the 3 of Pentacles. So we literally got the exact same card, but in the upright position for the past. So see how the energies talk to us? I mean, we got the exact same card, 3 of Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles. So there definitely is something in our past around us learning a skill that we need to think through, and maybe it will play out in our present day. So now let's do a clarifier for the 3 of Swords. And there's the 9 of Cups in reverse. So that's clarifying the 3 of Swords. Let's move these up a little. And then in the future, for the Knight of Pentacles, let's pull a clarifier there. Why is the Knight of Pentacles in the future? And there's the 9 of Wands. Okay, so let's take these one at a time. So like I said, with the 3 of Pentacles, so for the 3 of Wheels, they just call it Wheels instead of Pentacles. You can see that there's this gentleman where he is honing his craft. He is like chiseling out this sculpture, and there is this, you know, hammer in his hand, and he literally is like forming and learning how to create something. And I think it's no different than this woman who is learning from her mentor how to be an artist, how to, you know, basically take a life form and sketch it out. So there is this strong sense, you all, of like, where is it in your world right now that is asking you to really get clear on something in the past that you've been learning that's going to help you in the physical world be able to move on from that world to now. Because I do think that there is this really heavy sense of something you've needed to learn, something that your skills can possibly help you right now. Maybe you forgot that you knew how to hone your skills for something. There could be something you went to school for and you kind of put it on the back burner, and now you need to bring that back into the present day. There is also this sense of like someone is going to give you an opportunity that you kind of forgot about, and now you're realizing maybe you can use it in the present day. That's the kind of message I'm getting, is like, don't forget that you know how to do certain things that's going to help you in the present. Okay, so with the present, we have the Three of Swords, and then we have the Nine of Cups. So I'm going to turn around the Nine of Cups. So the Nine of Cups in the traditional Rider-Waite deck is usually the merchant, and he has his hands crossed and he has like the cups behind him, and they often call it the wish card. And it's symbolizing more of where is it in your world that you would like to make things happen? Where is it like you're emotionally wanting like to be fulfilled in a certain way? And so the Nine of Cups is kind of like this really positive, emotional wealth is going to come to you if you just put your mind to it and you wish on it. Now, with it being in reverse though, there's almost this sense of you're going to have to do more than just wish. Like, it's possible, but with that Three of Swords, and since it's clarifying the Three of Swords, remember before we were saying like there was like this mental information or mental energy that you're like too down on yourself or too in your head about something. There definitely is this, what is it that you've been wishing on, but you've almost like talked yourself out of it? Like, where has there been mental almost anguish that you keep talking yourself in or out of something? You're trying to like wish it to come to fruition, but it's almost like you keep talking yourself out of it. But I hear that with those Three of Pentacles, there's something you know how to do. There's something that you don't need to keep worrying over, that it will come to fruition, but you're going to have to put in the legwork. Does that make sense? Like, you're going to have to actually move forward and not just assume that it's just going to fruition just because you wish it to fruition. Does that make sense? So I think that there's like this sense of like, where is it in your physical world that you've been maybe offered a position or there's options, but it's almost like you haven't used your skills or used what you already know to take advantage of something you want to fruition. And I also say that because with that Nine of Pentacles in the future, there's almost like this sense of like, if you want to take advantage of anything offered to you, you're going to have to go back to kind of like the basics, go back to what you've learned, but also like maybe open your eyes to a bigger perspective than you have been doing. Because I do think with the Nine of Wands in the future, the Nine of Wands, here's another nine. And so remember, nines usually have to do with coming to an end of something. So with this full moon in Gemini, I'm also feeling like there's an ending coming or an illumination of something. And with this Nine of Wands, the traditional Nine of Wands is like he's bandaged up and he's like standing there kind of looking over his shoulder, like he's been through the ringer, like he's been through a war or whatnot. And so it's almost like there's this sense of something is being offered to you, but you're not realizing it because you've been through so much. And with it being in reverse, I'm concerned that in the future, you're going to focus more on almost like, I don't want to go down that road again because I have been through this Three of Swords. But I think the universe is trying to tell you, you're going to have to think outside the box. I just keep hearing think outside the box. You're not going to be able to, don't keep dwelling in things that hurt you in the past or maybe didn't work out in the past. Because with all of this pentacle energy, especially coming into a eclipse, there definitely is this sense of like there's new opportunities possible. And with this many pentacles, if you have like suffered from losing a job, or possibly the job you're in you don't really want to stay in, there is this sense of like, even though you've been through some heartache, there's like a really almost like you've learned, or you've gotten skills to help you be able to find something new. That's what I'm really feeling positive about this Knight of Pentacles, because it almost feels like something is being offered to you, but just because your past was a little bumpy, you're not realizing you have more growth and more skills than you're actually tapping into. Does that make sense? So I'm going to pull, I'm going to use my deck that I always use, that's the traditional Rider-Waite, because I want to make sure with all of these pentacles, I want to see like what is like almost like the overarching theme here, because it's kind of like I hear career and things that you have been like trying to learn and hone, and something is coming to you, but there's like a sense of, that Four of Pentacles just fell out. Four of Pentacles is saying you're trying to hold on too tight, you're trying to focus too much on your finances, and there could be something that you're missing out on because you are holding on too tight. So, and that is exactly what I was saying with that Pentacle energy, because it's almost like there's this sense of you have opportunities, you have the skills, but it's almost like you're focusing in the wrong energies, and you're like worried so much about your money. It's almost like that saying they said, if you hold on too tight to money, that's why like money is meant to circulate, if you've ever heard that saying. And I think it's really true. It's kind of like if you keep holding on so tight, you're not making way for new energy, new money, new resources, new opportunities to come in. So I think it's interesting that that four just came out, because we almost have the whole suit of pentacles here, you all. So let's pull a clarifier. And I really want to pull a clarifier for that 6 and 2 of Pentacles that came out at the very beginning of our reading. All right, so let's pull one for the 6, and there's the World. So that's all we need to do, y'all. That literally is it. Like that's what I was trying to get to. I was trying to figure out, is this something that is like, is this energy one that you're still like dealing with, or is it something that's like bringing you to a closure? And I think that this, once you get the World card, as far as I'm concerned, you're done. Like you don't need to keep pulling cards, because this card in itself is telling you all of this is not in vain. You are going through a cycle that is going to bring you to an ending for you to renew yourself or to start again. And so I think that you're going to have to learn how to let go of the kind of like the incessant need to have all this money and just focus on money. That's what this 4 of Pentacles clarifier was saying. It's kind of like, stop focusing on everything else and just learn how to use your own resources, but also learn what you've been taught in the past. You really have everything you need for success, but you have to open up your mind, and you also have to be willing to go through some hard stuff, because I think that that's another thing that we're all learning in 2020 is like, okay, maybe we can, maybe we're stronger than we think that we are. Does that make sense? Maybe we're all realizing like, it's okay to have to go through a little bit of pain, a little bit of 3 of Swords, a little bit of 9 of Wands, but we are giving or we are receiving, I should say, all of these different signs from the universe. And with this full moon lunar eclipse in Gemini, Gemini is all about that mental duality. And there might be these opportunities like this Two of Pentacles. I mean, that Two of Pentacles to me is just like the Lovers, because it's almost like this duality of which way do I go? Which decision do I make? How can I move forward with like this sense of like, there are opportunities being given to me, but I have to realize there's a cycle and a process to go through. And with that World card at the end, it's basically saying you are coming to an ending so that you can begin anew. And so I think that this is going to be a really transformative eclipse season, and I want you to make sure that you keep in mind throughout this next 6 months that it is a process, and each of us are going through like these cycles. And if 2020 has taught us anything, it's like we can overcome a lot of the challenges, but you're going to have to go through each of these cycles before you're like really able to see the benefit. So I appreciate you all joining me here on Scorpio Soul Time. If you haven't liked or subscribed to my channel, I would love if you would, and you would share it with your friends and family. And I encourage you to look at the eclipse playlist on Scorpio Soul Time. This video will be in there, as well as the ones from the past, and just go through those and look and see how you've changed during these cycles. Okay, you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye.